Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 143rd Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. As you may remember, a few weeks ago I did something I hadn't done before, and that is I put on a brand new, fresh game that had only been fought the night before. And it seemed to be quite popular with people watching this the battle, so I thought I'd do it again. This battle was only fought last night. If you like, the ink hasn't even dried on it, and I thought I'd just put it on this morning for you to watch. It's a great battle, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. As I say, it was brand new. It was only fought last night. The team I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member Turbo. The newer players to RTW will know him as Lando, but to the veterans of RTW you'll know him as Turbo, and he's bought the Rome Julio faction. Then we have Brotherhood member Northern, who has also bought the Rome Julio faction. Northern's just returned to RTW after a 5-year break. He says he feels a little bit rusty, but he's really enjoying RTW again. So it'll be interesting to see how well he does in this battle, bearing in mind we're up against really good players. And then myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought the Carthage faction. Now this, as you know, I sometimes bring some very old armies, dust them off, clean them up and bring them onto the modern day battlefield, and this is a very old army. We'll talk about it a bit later on. Should be a great game for you to watch. At this stage of the battle I thought we'd have a look at this very old army. Normally I'll bring a very old Carthage army to the modern day battlefield, but I think this one's even older. This one may even be 8 or maybe even 9 years old. And it is an unusual Carthage army for me to bring. I can't remember the last time I played with this army. As you can see, I think it's got about 15 well-upped Sacred Band units. I've got 2 slingers, but they're the cheaper slingers. But also, unusually, I've bought 3 general armoured units here, cavalry armoured general units. Now these guys are fast, and are pretty difficult to kill. So I think the reason that I put them in the army was to kind of if you like, attack enemy archers and missile troops, because these guys can outrun heavy cavalry. They can go in, do the damage and get away without being caught. So it'll be interesting to see how this really ancient army does on the modern day battlefield. And here is the other team. We have Heaven's member Biscuits, who has bought the Greek cities faction. I've noticed that Biscuits has been playing with Greek cities a lot lately and has got very good with them. And I just thought we'd have a look at his army here. I think you can see he's got 12 Spartan units. He's got 6 Cretan archers. You know, the Cretan archers with a great, really good long range and do a lot of damage. So he's got 6 Cretan archers, and also he's got 2 armoured hoplite units. Now if you notice how he's got those armoured hoplite units, if you like, an extended line there, and those hoplite units are there to protect his archers from cavalry attack, and they can be quite effective there. So I think that's a pretty good Greek cities army, and I think a general that's good with Greek cities is always a challenge on the battlefild. So I think this will make the game even more interesting. And then we have IOW Belisarius, who has bought the Seleucid faction. As you can see here, he's got some Silver Shield Legionnaires. Now these guys can throw pilers and are pretty tough in their own right, that infantry. And then we move on to the Silver Shield Pike units. Now as you know, as you've seen other battle videos that I've shown you, these pike units have got very long pikes, and they're difficult to fight down those pikes to kill the enemy on the other end. And then we have the infamous tank cataphract cavalry here. As you can see, very well armoured from head to toe. Even the horses are very well armoured. These guys are incredibly difficult to kill, and if used correctly, they can be battle-changing cavalry. So that's pretty good Seleucid army there, I think. And then the third team member is COH Piper, who has bought the Macedon faction here. And I think, I'm not sure if he's bought 15, I think it's like 15 pikemen there. As you know, the Macedon pikemen are pretty good. Morale not very good, but I think out of the pike factions, apart from Greek cities and Carthage, they're got pretty good specifications. And then we've got the Macedon cavalry the companion cavalry. These are quite underestimated cavalry. These are pretty tough, and with a few upgrades on, they can also be battle-winning troops if used correctly. And as I say, they can be underestimated, but they are pretty tough cavalry. And the last unit I'd like you to look at is, I notice he's got a light unit of cavalry. I think they're the lancers there. Now the reason he's bought those is to harass and attack our archers and my slingers, because they can outrun heavy cavalry, they can charge in, do a lot of damage and get away before heavy cavalry can get anywhere near them. So there's the enemy team there. As you can see, 3 pike armies. This should be an interesting battle for you to watch. At this very early stage of the battle, you can see that Heaven's Member Biscuits is attacking our right flank here. What he would really like to do is to take on a Roman army head on with those Greek cities of his. If you notice here, we can see our archers there shooting at the Cretan archers. My allies have bought a few archers to this game, so that should keep the Cretan archers a little bit busy for a while in the archer battle. I noticed that Macedon didn't bring any archers, which is quite unusual, because usually they bring a couple of Cretan archers because the Macedon pikemen are so susceptible to archer damage. But Biscuits has bought 6 Cretan archers anyway, so that should be fine archer wise. Right, you can see Biscuits is approaching our Greek cities, our Rome ally there. What he would like to do is take on, as I said earlier, our Roman ally there with his infantry, and instead of maybe wanting to take on my Carthage army, I think he'd like to attack my Roman ally. And it wouldn't surprise me if he became aggressive and went straight for my Julii ally there when he's actually ready. As you see, my Carthage army is a long way away. I'm running over from that left flank as fast as I can, but I'm quite a long way from the front line battle at the moment. There's an overview for you can actually see what's happening there all over the battlefield. As you can see, the Cretan archers are firing in big extended lines there, so they're going to suffer less casualties. Right, now, do you remember what I said to you about what Biscuits would like to do? He would really like to attack my Roman ally there. And if you notice there, he's become incredibly aggressive. And it wouldn't surprise me if those forward units, or my allies' forward units, started to rout there under the attack. But if you notice that there's lots of pilots going into the Spartans, but remember the Spartans have got 2 hit points and are incredibly difficult to kill. If you notice that some of my allies' Julii units have started to rout under the pressure of that Greek city's attack. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if when I move my Carthage army up to actually engage the Greek cities, if he pulls that army back. And the reason for that is he doesn't really want to take on my compact, well upgraded Carthage army. He would much prefer to take on my Rome ally. As you can see here, that fast moving Lancer, Macedon Lancer unit was attacking my slingers, but my general units that are just as fast as him intercepted him and have routed him now. If you notice, the Macedon heavy cavalry are moving in, but I'm going to move my general cavalry away from them, those general armoured units there, and he's decided to give up the chase because he knows he wouldn't be able to catch them because I just run them away from heavy cavalry. As I say, if you notice, I moved my Carthage army forward, and Biscuits now has moved his Greek cities army back. As I say, he doesn't really want to take on my Carthage army head on. I'm just going to pause the game here to take stock of the situation. As I say, I've got my Carthage army there, and I would like to take on the Greek cities head on. But he doesn't want to do that because Greek cities are a lot better against Rome than they would be against Carthage. You can see my allies there. Turbo's moving his Roman army forward. I don't know whether his idea is to try and pin Biscuits' army there so I can move my Carthage army through, but he does seem to be being quite aggressive towards the Greek cities army there after he's thrown so many pilots in. Okay, so let's see what happens now. As you can see, Turbo's still moving his Julii army forward there in a very aggressive way towards the Greek cities. As I say, I don't know whether Turbo's plan there was to try and engage the Greek cities, to try and hold them while I moved my Carthage army through. As you can see, the Cretan archers are still firing their arrows, still doing a lot of damage with them. And as you can see, the Greek cities army has moved further to our right now. So I'm going to move my Carthage army to engage them if they want to attack us on the right flank there. As you can see on the far right, you can see you've got 3 Macedon cavalry there, ready to move in and engage when the time is right. Now if you notice, the Greek cities army is coming way over to our right flank there, and so I'm moving over there to shadow them. That's what I tend to do with my Carthage army. I tend to shadow the Greek cities and just get ready for the right time to engage them. Okay, so the only problem with that tactic is that Biscuits knows that I'm shadowing him, so he's moving and he knows that I've got to react to him. I've got to move to what he's doing, and I'm kind of like dancing to his tune. So what I've got to do now, I've got to make a tactical decision. Do I carry on just running around the battlefield after him, chasing him, or am I going to do something a little bit more tactical? I'm just going to pause the game here to take stock of the situation at the moment. As you notice over on our left flank here, you can see that Northern's cavalry has just had a tussle with some Macedonian cavalry there, and it looks like Northern's cavalry has come off best there. As you can see, Northern's infantry hasn't been engaged yet, facing the Macedon pikemen, so we've still got fresh troops. And then we go into Turbo's army there that is facing the now Seleucid pike faction there. Remember, Roman generals don't really like to take pikemen head on unless there's a plan. So as I say, now I've got to make a decision. Do I carry on chasing Biscuits around the battlefield, shadowing his army, or do I make a tactical decision here and decide to put pressure on his allies? I don't feel like dancing to his tune. I don't want to keep following around the battlefield, so I think what I'm going to do is make a tactical decision here and try and put some pressure on his allies. Should be interesting to see. As you can see, the Cretan archers there are still firing arrows at our troops, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next. As you can see there, the Biscuits now is taking his army over to our far left flank, probably with a view in engaging Northern's Roman army there. But I noticed the Seleucid pikemen in front of us are just going to stand there in a defensive position from what I can see. So what I'm going to do is going to try and put a bit of pressure on the enemy team by advancing my compact, well upgraded Carthage army into that Seleucid pike formation there. And if I start putting a lot of pressure on those pikes and they start to rout, it may well make the enemy team have to start to send reinforcements over here, and therefore weakening their line elsewhere. If you notice, you can see how long the Seleucid pikes are here in comparison to my shorter Carthage pikes. Also, I've got Cretan archers firing arrows into my flank all the time I'm moving there, so I'm losing a lot of men there as I'm moving forward, but I still feel that my tactical thought here is to try and put as much pressure as I can on these Seleucid pikemen, and if I do manage to start routing some units, then they're going to have to start sending reinforcements over, and as I said earlier, start weakening their line elsewhere. Can you see that unit of Sacred Band? I got attacking this unit here on the outside of the melee. My Sacred Band are moving closer and closer, going down those long pikes to start engaging the actual infantry on the other end. So I'm hoping that the pressure of my Carthage Sacred Band is start routing some of those Seleucid units. And as you said, over on the far left flank now, you can see that Biscuits kind of got his way now. He is now attacking my Roman allies with his Spartans. Remember, with Spartans, with their 2 hit points, they really like taking Roman armies on head on. So Northern's now engaging him. And what I'm hoping is on this flank we're going to start routing, as I said earlier, routing some of their units, and maybe we can turn the battle a bit on this right flank. As you can see, the Cretan archers are still firing arrows into my flank. Can you see the Macedon cavalry, those 3 units of Macedon cavalry there? In wedge formation. I would think if they get a chance, they'd like to charge into the flank of my fighting Sacred Band units, so I'll have to keep an eye on them. And as you can you see the Macedon cavalry, those companion cavalry charging in? But I've spotted them. If you notice, I turn those outside Carthage units towards them, and wisely the Macedonian general stops the attack and turns his cavalry away. If he'd have carried on with those cavalry, they'd have run into pikes there. So it was a wise move by the Macedonian general there. Well done to him. I can now start concentrating my Carthage back onto the Seleucid and Macedon. If you notice that the Macedon ally has sent some units over to support their Seleucid ally there already. If you notice, there's lots of Macedon pikemen in the centre there just holding the line. And Northern's doing extremely well over here. If you notice, he's bringing cavalry out here to the left flank, probably with a view, if he can, to smash into the rear of those engaged Greek city units there. But if you notice, the Greek city general spotted that and has moved a Greek city unit out to face the threat. Nice move there. You can see there's a heck of a lot of Macedon pike units there, just holding the centre. He's sending reinforcements over to the right. Do you remember what I said to you about I'm doing a tactical decision here where I'm going to attack on the right with my Carthage army, hopefully starting to rout some of the enemy units, and then the enemy will have to send reinforcements over to support their left flank and our right flank there. You can see it's a Macedon pikeman coming over now. As notice there, we've just killed, I think, the Macedon general. Now the Macedon morale is not very good anyway, and to kill the general is going to lower their morale even more. Now if you notice here, can you see Turbo's got cavalry in behind the fighting pikemen there, and he's charging those Julii cavalry into the back of those engaged enemy pikemen, causing a mass rout there. If you notice, there's some Macedon cavalry charging in there, that companion cavalry, and bang, as that cavalry hits. If you notice, I'm charging some of my armoured general units in to try and take a bit of the sting out of that Macedon cavalry attack there. You can see there's a couple of Seleucid units moving in behind my Carthage there. Just going to pause the game here for to take stock of the situation at the moment. As you can see here, those Macedon cavalry have been routed and are now moving away from the actual melee there. You see there's a couple of Seleucid silver shield legionnaires there moving in behind my Carthage sacred band. But if you notice, there's a heck of a lot of the enemy pike units starting to rout. As I say, I didn't fancy running around after Greek cities, like, as I said, dancing to their tune, so I decided to do a tactical move here, and it looks like, from what I can see, it has paid off a bit here, because we are starting to rout a lot of the enemy units. There's still a lot of Macedon pikemen left there, if you can see. Still a lot of them holding the centre. And the enemy Greek cities is still doing well over on our left flank, attacking our allies' Julii, Northern's Julii infantry there. So as you can see in the centre here, Turbo's done extremely well there by holding those Macedon pikemen there. He's been, as I say, he's fighting to hold and to pin them there so we can get units in behind. But as I say, over here on the left flank, you can see that the Greek cities is doing extremely well against the my allies' Roman army there. It wouldn't surprise me if Greek cities got some good kills here against Rome generals. That's why I say, new players watching this, remember, you don't really want to take on Greek cities head on if you can help it, unless you've got a plan. Right, so there's a general overview of the picture of the battle. So let's see what's happened now. You can see this Julii, our allies' Julii cavalry there charging into the tank cataphract cavalry. Now on the face of it, you might think, well, that's kind of strange, charging Roman cavalry into cataphracts, but if you notice, he's sending 2 infantry units as well. So I think he's got 6 cavalry units and 2 infantry units against those cataphracts. So hopefully he'll do well there. Meanwhile, over here on the right centre, can you see how Turbo's Julii army and my Carthage army are gradually rolling the enemy line up from right to left? As you can see that, can you see we're gradually rolling them up from right to left there? Slowly, we're moving slowly there, but gradually they're starting to break. You can see some of the Macedon units at the back have just rallied there after being routed. They've rallied and come back onto the battlefield there. I'm now running my sacred band over as fast as I can. What I want to do is get onto the other flank, because I can see there's still lots of Greek city units over there fighting our ally. So I'd like to get over there to help. Northern did a fantastic job over on that left flank, holding the Greek cities for as long as he did. But as I say, I would think that the Greek cities got a good lot of kills over there. As I say, head on against Roman troops, Greek cities do extremely well. But Northern did a good tactical job there of holding the Greek cities up well. Turbo and myself managed to, if you like, deal with the rest of the enemy armies there. As you can see, there's still The cataphract tank cavalry fighting some of Northern's units over there on the far left flank. And you can see there's just a few of the Greek city units left now which we're charging into. And you see we're slowly moving in there, and I think if we can kill the Greek city's general, that's probably the end of the Greek cities there now. And it looks like our team has managed to go on to win this. See that Macedon cavalry unit there just charged into the rear of our units there. If you notice, there's still some Seleucid tank cavalry left there, still fighting to the last man by the looks of it. But they're coming up against pikes and Roman infantry now, plus Roman cavalry. So I don't think they'll last that long. If you notice, there are a couple of Macedon units that have rallied. Oh, there's a Seleucid general just been killed there. If you notice, there's some Macedon units that have rallied there, but whether they'll carry on fighting at this stage of the battle, or just maybe admit defeat, might yeah, and he's just admitted defeat there. So I think at this stage of the battle, sometimes to admit defeat and then get on to the next battle is sometimes the best thing. As you can see here, for a 3v3, you can see how intense the fighting was by the dead on the battlefield. And unusually, you can see the dead from one side of the battlefield to the other. You know, sometimes on battles that you've seen here, you can see where there's kind of gaps in between the in the dead, but you can see that there's intense fighting from one side to the other. The first thing I'd like to say is really well played to the enemy team there. I thought they played extremely well, and really well played to Turbo and Northern and the team that I was in as well. Some great moves there. If you notice there that Turbo's got over 2,000 kills. I know we're fighting two armies of large units, but in a 3v3 to get over 2,000 kills is still pretty good. You can see Biscuits, his kills as well, did well with Greek cities. Remember, he was fighting a Roman army head on. This is how you get great kills with Greek cities, fighting Roman units head on. Northern did well to hold there. Yeah, Northern held that Greek cities army really well there, as giving Turbo and myself time to manage to deal with the rest of the enemy. Here's a look at the battle statistics of my Carthage army there. Those two slingers, they're the cheap slingers as well. They did quite good, bearing in mind they weren't even the really good ones. And if you look at the kill ratio from my Sacred Band to the enemy, you can see how well they've done. Even those general cavalry armoured units without hardly any upgrades on didn't do too bad either. So I'm quite pleased with that really old army. It's even though it might be 9 years old, it still didn't do too bad in 2015. Once again, I'd like to say really well played for everybody in the game. It was a great game to be in. Hope you all enjoyed watching it. Spartan Commander, bye for now.